years ago, I was at a girl's house, just a few cities over, in a place called Murfreesboro, when I got a call, and it was from my dad. And of course, I wasn't thinking much of it at the time, so I'm picking it up to have a quick chat with my pops. Not thinking much of it, only for his then girlfriend to answer the phone and be on the other end. And she tells me, "Hey, your dad is being life flighted to the hospital in your town. He had a stroke. We're not sure if it's COVID related, but I just thought you should know that. Please hurry." I immediately got dressed, not explaining shit, other than just some shit came up and I had to bounce. I rushed down the highway in the rain, and when I arrived at the hospital, I get to the room that he's in, and I see him on a hospital bed. He's awake with a tube down his throat, and he's trying to speak to me, but I'm not able to make out what he's saying because it was literally gibberish. I immediately got this sick feeling in my stomach that this was about to take a pretty dark turn. And I remember posting this long paragraph on my Instagram, posted an old photo of me and my dad. If I still have it on my computer, I'm going to throw it on the screen, or I'll just email it to myself and throw it on the screen. It's this one here. I basically posted a long paragraph just hoping that he'd make it out alive, but really knowing deep down just how dire this situation was and how serious this was. Because it's, unless you've been through something like this, and it doesn't necessarily have to be with a parent, but it can be with anyone close to you who's been admitted to the hospital, and you just get that pit in your stomach that this isn't going to be good. There isn't going to be good news coming out of this. So anyway, they told me that he's to be transported to a hospital in Nashville that's better equipped, more adequately staffed to treat him. And I immediately called my mom after I left Moore Regional. She tells my brother, and they meet me at the hospital that same night. The next 3 days that followed were some of the longest, darkest 3 days of my life. And honestly, to make matters worse, it was cold and rainy. Like it's like the beginning of February, middle of winter, cold and rainy. And it's like coming down. Like this isn't just like a little drizzle of rain. I'm talking it's cold, wet, and just raining the whole day. For 3 days, this whole 3-day period. As the main person of contact, I was getting a lot of the bad news first. And I kept my composure in the hospital room as much as I could as I watched my brother's face covered in tears and our father's condition worse. It was until the night just before he had died that I noticed I hadn't eaten all day that day, and that really wasn't like me at all, because I was like in the middle of my training journey. So of course I was making sure I was getting my calories in, but this was a day where I noticed I hadn't eaten all day. And I did something else that's even more unlike me. I stopped at McDonald's before I met with my cousin to hang out. And we were hanging out so I could try to get my mind in a better place. I remember it was still pouring down around this time. I pulled up to his dad's car lot. His dad owns a car lot. And I pulled up there. For context, his dad owns a car lot. And there's a little section in the car lot that is used as a studio. I'm not sure if it still is. I haven't been in there in a while. But at the time, it was used as a studio and a little hangout spot. And I pulled up there, turned my headlights off, sat in my car, and literally bawled my eyes out while I ate my shitty McDonald's that I didn't really want to eat. Because, like I said, man, even eating McDonald's wasn't like me. But I needed something on my stomach. Like, I went a whole day without eating anything because I was just so wrapped up in what was happening. Like, me and my brother were losing our dad, and I had to come to terms with that. After I'd finished, I remember wiping my face, looking in the mirror, patting my eyes dry, so my cousin wouldn't be able to see that I literally just broke down in the car like 10 minutes prior to seeing him. And it was honestly starting to take its toll on me. That's when all this really started to truly take its toll on me and weigh down. And I was starting to wish that I was living some kind of nightmare, but unfortunately it was a reality, an unfortunate reality that I wasn't ready to live with. Next day, I'm working, and I get a call that he started to take a turn for the worse. I immediately drop everything I'm doing and speed up the highway. when I get to the room, he's almost unrecognizable. His eyes are rolled to the back of his head. His mouth is wide open. His breaths are getting shorter. And I'm standing beside my brother, trying to console him. And look, I'm the younger brother. Usually these roles are growing up, this role is the other way around. Like, I would be the one torn up about some shit. And, like, he'd be the one consoling me. But, like, I kept my composure for as long as I could and just consoled him because he was torn up. And it was fucked just seeing him like that. But I'm realizing at that time that this is it. We're about to lose our dad here pretty soon, and there's nothing we can do about it. I couldn't take it anymore at that point, and I gave my dad one last hug, hugged my brother on the way out, and I told him I was sorry. Why? Because at that time, he and I were at odds over something stupid, like stupid as hell, petty ass disagreement, and life humbled us both. In particular, me. He can speak for himself when it comes to the way that affected him, like the way that us being at odds at that time affected him. But life humbled me in a way that I never saw coming, because our dad died without seeing us really reconcile. He knew that we were at odds over something petty, but he never got to see us literally just like squash this shit right there in the hospital room. Now, if you're religious, you could say that he saw it in spirit, but I remember going to the parking garage, jumped in the car, sped down the highway back home. Now, at this point in this story, I did a lot of dangerous shit because my emotions were just everywhere, and I don't condone it. This is not me condoning any of this. This is me sharing my experience, hoping that you learn something from it. And when I got back to my place, I immediately opened the fridge where I had a bottle of alcohol. It was a little bottle of Douce that I had hidden. I'd been drinking on it here and there whenever I go out with my boys at the time. And chugged what's left, grabbed a blunt that I had already had rolled up, smoked it in my car. And then I drove to meet my cousin. Same cousin that I had hung out with like the night before at the car lot. I drove to his house. Halfway there, I'm feeling the effects of both the alcohol and the blunt get stronger, more intense. Then my brother calls, and he's like, "Hey, Pop's vitals are dropping. If you need to pull over and get yourself together." He's like, "Are you driving right now?" I'm like, yeah. Like, I'm slurring my words at this point. And he's like, "Yeah, if you need to pull over and pull yourself together, if you need to ask me if I was alright." And I can't even exactly remember what I said back when he asked me if I was alright, but it definitely wasn't in clear English, because by this time I was slurring my words and I was crossfaded and driving. Like, never fucking do that. Like, I'm honestly lucky that I didn't wreck my car, and it's something I've never done since. I'm totally against that. Again, like I said earlier, I did a lot of dangerous shit this day because my emotions were all over the place. I'm not condoning it, and I'm hoping you learn from this. But my father breathed his last breath 30 minutes after that call, and that night was the loneliest I had ever felt. I had people around me, my cousin, his sister, her boyfriend, and their friend, but literally none of them could relate to what I was going through. Like, I forgot who said it. I think it was Theo Vine, but I think someone said it before him. It might be a Instagram quote or one of those quotes where it's like unknown who initially said it, but it's true no matter who said it. Being alone and feeling alone are two vastly different things. And as I mentioned, this night was the loneliest I had ever felt. Many of the people who I looked at as friends and who I thought were friends didn't even bother to check up on me or even send least a shred of sympathy. There were people that did, and those people are appreciated. I still had those people around in my life, and they knew. But those who didn't knew what was happening. And those are the ones who I expected the most to at least hit me up and say, "Bro, if you need someone to chat with to get your mind off things, I'm here for you." But they didn't. Even my best friend from high school, who I cut off due to this, because I was traumatized this night in two different ways. For one, dealing with the death of a parent, and two, I felt truly alone and left to feel that way by some of the people that I trusted the most. There's a lot more to that story. There's a lot more to this story, but telling those extra details would drag this video out for ages. That night did trigger something in me though, where I felt like the whole world could just fuck off, and I literally remember blocking and deleting everyone who I thought of as a friend that didn't even care to show a single ounce of sympathy for me and my brother. And I mean, I still don't regret that decision because, like, looking back, like, those are bad friendships to begin with, and fake friendships to begin with. In my video where I talk about they're not your friends, a lot of those people who I blocked and cut off met that criteria, so wasn't really a loss. It still sucks, but it wasn't really a loss. But that year I'd become a person who slowly started to shut people out more and more. And I went from this omniverted funny guy who could kick it with anybody and have a conversation with anybody to an introverted, depressed, and lonely dude who almost hated almost everyone. And I'm definitely doing much better today than I was in 2021. 2021 was a dark year for me personally, and I would even say for my whole family, because my dad's death wasn't the end of the chaos that year. And I had reached a point in my life that year where I genuinely believed that I wasn't gonna make it, and I did, and I'm grateful for that. But since my father's death, I've learned to forgive more and not to sweat the petty bullshit in life anymore. I value time with family a lot more than I did before his death. It's not to say that I didn't beforehand, but now it's like on a different level. Like, I'm more than willing to miss work for it, because look, no one's gonna remember you worked late but your kids. If you have like family that you could be spending time with, but you choose to like work late because you gotta get on the grind. Look, I get it, you have goals, that's great, that's fabulous, but you can't sacrifice family time all the time for the hustle. Like, there's not gonna be a biography or a paper written about you working fucking 16 hours a day for the grind or for the hustle. Like, the only people that will remember that are the family members that you didn't spend quality time with. So I'm telling you now, value quality family time. And I'll tell you this too, if you have a good set of parents that aren't toxic, like they're overall good people, you may, of course, like, it's human, you're gonna have disagreements and not see eye to eye with your parents all the time. But if you have an overall good set of parents that you just don't talk to as much as you should or spend as much time with as you should, change that shit. Like, call your mom and invite her over for dinner more. Invite your dad out to fish, hit the gym or the range together, because one day what's going to happen is you're going to look at their contact card in your phone, wish you could hit that call button so you can hear them pick up on the other side again. Certain songs, smells, and places will bring back memories that'll hit you somewhere deep in the gut like nothing else can. Crying over this is perfectly normal, because that's someone who literally brought you into this world and watched you come onto this earth is leaving it, and there's no real way you can be ready for that. Take more photos with your family as well. Do more fun things together so you can have memories together and capture those memories. Take care of your health. Eat healthier, and do routine wellness checkups so that way you know what's going on with your body. I would honestly say what came back and bit my dad at the end of it all was him not taking care of his health. He did smoke a lot. He did drink a lot of sodas. I don't think he didn't drink as much water as he should have. His diet wasn't exactly the healthiest. And he didn't get routine wellness checkups like that, so he would know what was going on with his body. And unfortunately, had he probably done that, he may still be around today. But most importantly, live every day like it's your last. Legit, have this conversation with yourself. Meditate on it, that your life could end at any day for any reason, sometimes even in ways out of your control. Do something about that and make your limited time on this earth count for something. Another way that I know that I'm doing much better than I was in 2021 with this is I'm able to talk about this on camera without getting choked up or without having to take a break or without my eyes getting watery. Of course, it's still sad to talk about. Like, it makes me sad to like relive this and talk about it but it's important because someone out there one of y'all can get something from this, can learn a valuable lesson from this, whether you have a living parent or this is something you're currently going through right now. Remember everything that I said in this video. Something about your limited time on this earth and make it count. Cherish your family and spend more time with your parents. If you still have both living parents, spend more time with them. Hit the thumbs up if you found this video valuable. Comment your thoughts down below. If you have a similar experience, I'd also love to hear that. Subscribe if you want to see more content from me. And I'll see y'all in the next video. Y'all take good care of yourselves out there. Dos vidania.